There we go, and we'll continue the stream. Again, I want to thank everybody for who is here listening and joining in. I'm Dark Viking John, actually, and this is Iron, our 3D text editor. So KRI5, welcome, and LiveEdu support. Thank you again for coming back. I'm hoping the text is big enough now. And we'll keep going. So menu matching, let's search for menu matching. Oh, it's called in two places. What was that other one? Irons resize. Ah, that's kind of a clue. As we saw when I changed from vertical to horizontal, there's a big old flash. Okay, that's not the case, but you can see that these have not been resized properly. Tools help. They are just not in the right place. That's really telling. Okay, so if it's not the bug we're working on, it's a neighboring bug. Yeah, see, that's all kind of wrong. These never got resized. Okay, we Alt-Tab, come back, and they do. That's really interesting. Okay, keep that in our thinking. Oops. Let's go back here. So TBD, once menus become a component of a view, resize them per pane. Yeah, so something's not happening there. All right, let's follow menu matching. So what's going on, you can see my descriptions are extensive and consist of nothing. And I've kind of done a disservice to myself here is the menu matching. It's kind of like, all right, it's not terribly descriptive of what's going on. And what is really going on is, and this is just checking out from Perforce, this file. So we're going to make a change here. And what's really going on is we're matching the positions, positions. Yeah, it's been talking so long I can't type. Matching the positions of the old menu, so the new menu will basically take over the rendering. Whoops. In the next frame. Essentially, that's what we're doing. We can compile this comment. So Iron does have a build system in there. And in our prototype, we're not putting out the build system because it's not up to par. It's just not ready for prime time. But Iron will have a build system. And it works for me personally since I'm the one and only user, but hopefully that'll change in a month's time. And we'll get the beta and prototype and hope that folks will get their hands on it and give us some feedback. Okay, so what's going on here is, yeah, like the description says. And that's kind of weak too. As we're going through each of the sections and we're looking for if there's an old menu, and there is in our case, you want to search for the matching new section. No, wait, we're going through the new sections. Yeah, okay, so this is the menu, the new menu preparing to be displayed. And it's got to go through each section and each menu item and say, okay, where's the old ones? And that's where I need my items to originate on the next frame. And then over a period of time, it's going to animate. It's going to interpolate across the screen and it's going to rotate stuff. So that's what's going on here is like, where's that starting position? And it's coming from, of course, the old menu. Okay, and that's what's happening in menu section matching. All right. And if there is no old, I can't remember exactly how this one is work, can match the whole model. And this is this is also could be where a problem is whether we're setting this matching flag true or not, because other things happen when this one's returned here. Okay. So let's look for menu section matching. And that should be only in one place, right? Yes, and we can verify that with finding this file. Sure enough, there are 4 matches, 1 file, and I searched a grand total of 58 kilobytes. Let's search all files in my project. All right, 107 megabytes. That's not a lot of source code. Let's see. Okay, so let's run down here. Oh, but it did it really quick. Does it say how fast? 7 megabytes. I'm off on a tangent again. Oh, it doesn't look that fast. Fast enough, it can fade in nicely. Okay, so this routine, menu section matching. Okay, so it's continuing on. What's going on is it's taking a look at the new items and finding the corresponding old item. And when it finds an old item that has a joint, in a joint is not like in college, which you would smoke, or back in my day. It's a joint as in a 3D model. It's your elbow, a wrist. So you can have items that don't have graphical elements, and I'm just making sure that there is a graphical element in this particular conditional. And you come down here, and then I'm decomposing the parts that I need to work with. So I've got the joint has object references in a list, and I'm just grabbing different objects. And I know a priori what the structure is of this set of linked joints and object references. It's part of the model, the 3D model that's being displayed on screen. So I'm just extracting in these 4 lines the old and the new. Okay, and I need to know 2 different objects. One has, gosh, it seems like one has the text size and the other has the underlying 3D object, the cube, or the elongated cube, the rectangle, 3D rectangle. What would that be? A parallelepiped, right? Another unofficial coffee break there. So let's see. So those are the parts that are needed. So what's going on is this object matching is now taking, hey, take the text object of the new item and the text object of the old item, and basically copy the old to the new. In other words, all the position information. And then do that for the underlying object, the cube, the elongated cube under there. And then do the same for the joint. The joint has to be the same as well. Because whole menus, I know this will seem kind of weird. Let's go back to this. So this whole menu is a 3D model. And then the whole model and the initial joint, it can be rotated off and spun off to space as a whole item, just like this. So, that's what a joint is used for, is changing the reference frame, the coordinate system in 3D modeling. So we have to capture the joint as well. So let's go look at, well, let's see, this is the items. This is the old section itself. It's matching the same thing. Now, sections right now don't have a text object. There's no text. You can see these little gray things. There's no text. Okay, and that's actually going to change. We're going to add text at some point. So you can name your sections in the menus. And that becomes important actually when you want to tailor a menu. So you guys out there, and you want to add new items to say if you're going to right click a menu, and it's kind of like you want to change the context menu or even the main menu that'll be across the top here. you want to add something in the middle, you got to have some kind of a reference to the menu, what section it's in, what item it comes after, or something like that. Just knowing the item name is not enough. You kind of need a delineator because you might use the same items in another section. So section name becomes important. All right. So that was kind of a sidebar. So anyway, the old section graphical elements get moved over from the old to the new, from right to left. Okay, object matching, right to left. So let's make sure, yeah, I'm going from the old to the new. Let's go check out object matching. Object matching. How many places is that used? That should be it, right? Sure enough. Okay, so object matching. Okay, and here I've called them from to. Okay. Typically in languages, you think about moving things from the right to the left. And I'm trying to maintain that in my parameter orderings. Okay, found, let's read this comment. Ooh, this is the best one in this routine, and it's the only one. Found a match old item. God, my own English is terrible. Borrow its dimensions and location. Interpret the new item from the old to the new size and location. Right, okay, so it's doing what it's advertised to do, or at least the comment matches what I'm thinking it should be doing. So what it's doing is it's grabbing the rotation, the translation, and the scale in a different order than I said it, grabbing a copy of that, and then what it's doing is it's setting in the new object, the new item menu, is it's just physically setting from the old one its starting position. So it's going to translate. Yeah, so what happened is the new menu is going to start from the old position. That's this stuff here, and that's what it's going. That's its start position. And then what happened was, I showed you earlier where the menu is set up, and if there was no other menu that it had to reconcile to, these are the locations. These are the locations where each item is set up to where it would display, and that's what object 2 has here. This is the new. So once the new menu takes over rendering, this item will be displayed at the old location and then slide or transition over to the new destination, and that's what this is saved off for. Okay, and then this object restore, since these have changed, it's going to update the graphics, and that's what's going on in this call. And then what it's going to do is it's going to, in Iron's interpolation module, it's going to schedule interpolating from the object's transition, which is now the old position, to the new position. So that's the new position. And it's going to start at the current frame time, the frame that we're on, and plus the delay that's been accumulating. So there's a little delay. Like I said, the accordion thing goes on. And that transition is going to take menu change duration amount of time, which is something like, I don't know, half a second, 2/10 of a second, something small. Okay, and in this case, we're not needing to save the reference to the actual interpolation. There's an interpolation record that gets created. We don't really care. And then the rotation is the same thing. It's going from the old to the new, starting at the same time, same duration, same with the scale. Okay. So this, I believe, works. And then this scheduled interpolation, by the way, and its record is returned, is what it's doing is it's putting into Iron's scheduler, its interpolator, a reference to the actual new menu item. So, and it's going to every frame, starting at the frame time plus the delay, and it's going to do it for the menu duration. It's going to call this routine, object interp. Okay, and that's what's going to update over time. So the interpolation module is changing these values. These, these are all vectors, 3-component real vectors. And so this module, the interpolation module, is these are quaternions, so it's it's probably doing a slurp. That's what the true is about. Yeah, whether it's doing a lerp or a slurp in quaternion space, quaternion reference system. This interpolation module takes care of that. And this is the routine that actually does the interpolation each frame. Okay, so the scheduled interpolations run every frame, and they run in a very concise order. Translation will happen before the rotation, before the scale, before the updating of the stuff itself. If they ever got out of order and this particular call showed up just in the same frame but after, that would be bad. So I'm going to set a bookmark here. Let's see if I remember how to do it. Key mappings keep changing here a lot as I'm developing. Let's see here. And then we're going to go search for, gosh, I already forgot the name of that. I think it's object interp. Sure enough. Short names, not descriptive enough, to my own detriment. All right, so here's object interp. Ooh, that's a huge routine. Okay, so every frame this routine is called in, and it's passing its interpolation record in, and then extracting from. I reuse it's a pointer to the target object, and it's casted. And this is in my own language, slang. Casting is okay. It's not casting like in classes. It's a physical cast. Let's see. And then all it's doing here is it's doing a material. Material prims are material and primitives. It's setting the opacity. So the opacity is changing each frame. Oh, that's interesting. So the geometry is not getting updated in this module here in this routine. Why not? Why not? That's a really good clue. Well, let's bookmark that. Because that's kind of what I suspect. I think the opacity is correct, and the location, the initial location, is not being set. And so there's all of those objects in this case where we're let's put it back, demonstrate the error again. I think what's happening is when you take things out, take one, let's just do one item. Is that the location of all these items just haven't been set. In other words, things are going to be, it's probably matrices being left as zeros, and turns out everything scales to 0 until it starts interpolating by something else. Yeah, I think that's kind of probably what's happening. So I kind of expected that the joints that we just set up, we go back to the bookmark. Yeah, we just set up these rotations to interpolate, and then set up this routine to be called every frame. And guess what? It's only updating the. It's only updating the. So I'm thinking I actually need this line right here. So I just copied it. Okay. Oops, we don't need that file. I'm in the wrong place. Command, no. Oh, that was an old, that's why that came up. That's an old bookmark. Sure enough. Created 2 days ago. Okay, let's clear that one. Jump out of this file. Bookmarks are kind of funny. Created 1 minute ago. That's the one we want. All right. So I think what's missing is this. Okay. And what that's going to do is update the joints in the graphics modules. Oh my gosh, look, we're only like, 30 lines apart. Okay. Normally I would have seen that because I'd be in itty bitty teeny tiny text like this. All right. Oh, that's a little too big for me. There we go. So let's compile that up. Just give it a shot. Oh my gosh, I've changed one line of code in about 2 hours of rattling on. Oh wait, and we've left something running. This one is running. Okay, there's Iron's build system. Let's see what happens now. This is kind of a hunt and peck debugging methodology.
Roger, you're
It's
one
not the
niner
best.
30.
Okay, let's see what happens. Oh, that actually looked better, I can tell. There's a difference. All right, let's try it. Let's see what happens. Nope, that didn't fix it. But I did see a difference in the new, at least I think I see a difference. I can make these transitions longer. Let's see. Nope, there it was. I actually, no, it's the same error. So the positions are wrong. And let's do this. I'm going to, using the development here, I'm going to search for menu change duration. Was that what it was? Yes. And what is it called? Now our menu's kind of in the way. Okay, so the menu duration, I was saying it was about 2/10. And I'm going to change that, and I can do that from the command palette because this is a CLI variable. This is something in my own language. I'll just want to toot out ooh, this is cool. And command line interpreted, CLI is what that stands for. And the idea was that these global variables or these variables can be updated from the command line. And Iron is loaded with those. They're everywhere. And that's again so folks can customize. And the command palette
to human error.
Kind of will make use of that. It's a little bit mundane. So let's make this duration a whole minute long. And let's close this. Okay, so now our transition should be a whole second. Let's see what happens. Oh, there it is. See, it slowed it down. Ah, did you see it? I saw it. Okay, watch. Okay, now watch when I put it back in. You can see the new menu, the items that are being added are kind of hanging off in the background. They're all on top of each other, and then they slide in, and that's almost correct. There they are. Did you see it? Okay, let's make it even slower. Let's go to 3 seconds. Okay. That's so wrong. Okay, and then our 3 seconds now, and see if I can point it out with this handy mouse thing. So let's compile it. There it is, right there. See it? Did you see it for a second? Yeah. That's funny. It's so slow. These elements should be in there, by design. These elements that are being added should be where they're going to go, since they're new, and they're supposed to fade in and then rotate, but they're off kind of in La La Land, and they're all on top of each other. This is a clue. All right. Okay, watch it again. You can see that, in fact, I'm not sure where this menu is in Z space. I think it's at 0, or it might be slightly in front or behind. But our new objects, again, I think they're just kind of doing a polygon battle, and some of them show up in front just for an instant. Watch again. Okay, there it is. Yeah, that's not by design. So the positioning, whether things are coming or going for the new menu, is not correct. Um, and that's what's happening here is the new menu, which has disappeared, is those things are, often numeric land. They're often null matrices and zeros and such. So they don't show up until they start interpolating from another piece of code, from another angle. So even though we've added this line, this is not solving the problem. And I think the interpolation, where else is this being called? I said like 4 places. Whoops. And we've lost our command file. I've seen that a couple of times now. I'm not sure why that is.
It can only be attributable
Prototypes.
to human error.
Let's see. All right, just making a note. So where is this being used? Object interp. Yeah, it's being used in a couple of places. So this is the one we were just looking at. So it's all the way up here. I tell you, I'm coding with a gigantic crayon in my hand. The text is, for me personally, so large. I feel like I need to, take about 20 paces backwards. But we want you guys to be able to see stuff as best as we can. Kind of have to compromise. I'd also be kind of spread out on a couple of monitors. And I wouldn't have a camera on my face, and I wouldn't be trying to narrate. So it kind of cracks me up. I'm not a natural streamer, let me tell you. And I don't think radio is my thing, but we'll do the best I can, and hopefully folks will get excited about iron. Okay, so yeah, this is kind of leaning right to where the problem is. So object intro is the animation that happens when a new menu is started up. It's when it's, when if we do this here. So here's the new animation. This piece right here. That's the object intro. And for some reason, when I'll cut it in the middle, you can see there's junk in the background, and this piece is going to be animated wrong. So that transition was too long, and the new transition, I cut it in the middle. Um, and flip up. Come on. There you go. It's just so slow. But sometimes that's a that's what you need. All right. Um, so the intro animation is where it's set up to bring new things in. Wait, flip it up. There it is. You can do it. uh, so that's the intro animation, and I'm pretty certain that's where our bug is. Um, Something is not happening here. So let's look at object intro. Menu intro, okay. Okay. So menu intro. And this is very near where it's being called. Right. So this is where what we were looking at before is the menu matching. That's where it's the new menu is taking on the old locations, and then the intro is setting things up. I think what's failed to happen is, let's see, menu generating new dimensions, setting the locations, and the intro may not be getting triggered here. Why would that be? Menu old or may not be doing the right thing. Good question. Yeah, here's our matching flag. Matching flag is a delay. Is it used anywhere else? That's interesting. Okay. It's flinging things off. This is setting new positions. This is doing the intro for new items. Our thing, I think menu intro is what we're having difficulties with. And what's going on? So this is setting up the animation for the new items. And that's what's wrong is the new item location when a new menu is going to replace an old one. Um, the new menu items are not scaled or positioned, or the opacity is not set correctly. So this has been kind of long-winded, but we're starting to narrow it down. So menu section, so each section, new section. Do you have, that doesn't execute, intro flag. Intro flag, passing it back. No joke. Oh, no joke. Okay. Nope, that's not it. Intro flag. What does it use it for? It doesn't pass it back. Menu intro. Hang on. Because that's the last thing it does. Alright. Menu done interp. That's not it. Let's follow menu section. Command palette, be better. We just haven't gotten there yet. And this is like this is already kind of like a second rendition, and we've kind of clamped it back for the beta. It it kind of works. It doesn't really do everything we're looking to do, so it's gonna feel like it's like this is terrible, but it's just it's hard to walk when you're only like 6 months old. You walk really terrible. Okay, so menu section intro, and this is trying to set up the animation. And so the new section goes through each menu item, finds the old one, and if there's not an old one, it sets up the object intro or does nothing. Or does nothing. Let's look at object intro here. Stephen 22, let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, will you make the code available on GitHub? And um, I know it's not a popular answer in these days. GitHub is pretty good about sharing source code. I'm all for that. But the answer is no, because the source code is written in slang, and slang is my own personal compiler and language. So it really wouldn't do anybody any good to have it on GitHub or expose it, because slang is a compiler in a language that nobody else knows. It's not going to be documented, and it'll never be ready for prime time. In other words, I'm not going to release slang for general use, but I am working on its new big brother, which is Copper, and that's part of the reason creating Iron is to integrate the new language development with Iron as an IDE. But that's way down the road. If our hope is that Copper may in fact be usable by other folks, and at that time we'd probably reassess whether we want to release the software. Um, you know, Sorry to disappoint folks in terms of is this an open source project? And no, it's not. Um, this is a venture that me and my partner is working on. Hang on, I gotta scoot over here. Um, so yeah, no, it's just not on GitHub at the moment. All right, let's go back to, and we're not sure it will be until we move out of slang. So, and that may or may not happen ever. Hard to say. Um, so there's some possibly conflicting ideas there. We'd like to be exposed, but not exposed. Let's see. Just some of my OCD is being exercised there. So object intro. Here it's setting up, it's scheduling the opacity change from, oh, look at that, will you? I think this might be our culprit right here. So what I think's happened is we've gone through all the items, and then it comes down to this object intro. One of the last things it does before the old menu goes away and the new one takes over. And so if this is this an item that's known, not an old item, and it sets the opacity to, I think what we're not doing when we're transitioning is we're not giving the old opacity to the new item. It does here, and this would be the appropriate thing, is when there's no new item, nothing to reconcile with, it's scheduling the intro animation, the intro sequence. And as a part of that, it's reset. It does what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to fade in. And so it's scheduling here. It's setting the opacities to 0. It's clamping it right off to 0 definitively, and then it's scheduling it to fade in, and then it's scheduling to transition to its new location. From where? New object to object from where it was. That just seems like it's transitioning from where it was to where it is. Am I just not seeing it? Oh, okay. I see what the idea was. Is again, it's kind of like in the other routine where it's object 2 is coming in with its destination locations, and so it's saving it off. This is plainly a case of cut and paste that isn't quite right. And then it's transitioning from where it was to where it was. It kind of reminds me of Buckaroo Banzai. Remember, wherever you go, that's where you are. So I'm thinking that this really isn't doing anything. That's curious. And then the other routine is not scheduling the opacity, or not passing the old opacity from the old menu item to the new one, and hence it probably starts up at 0. Let's look at a object rec and see what it starts as. Oh, I know. We'll find that quicker this way. All right, so what does it start as? Opacity. Well, it starts as 1. And do I have an object new or object gen? Object new. It's just dealing with setting up matrices, vectors. All right. What about object gen? Anything dealing with opacity here? Let's take a look at the 5 material prim. What is this one doing for opacities? -1s. Boom, boom, boom. And I know that's a special case value. And I am working with materials. The material is interesting. Okay, let's see here. Whoops. So what's happening here is when a new menu item is being introduced, the opacity starts at 0 and it's getting set. And this is being called, this routine is being called when, oh, wrong thing. Object intro, that's what I'm looking for. This one's being called when there is no old item. But if there is a new item, there's nothing that is setting the opacity away from -1, which we just saw in the primitive. And that's what's missing when we do the matching, object matching. So kind of want to do copy that. So object matching. Yeah, so it is kind of interesting that it's absent here. And we don't want the opacity to be set this objects. That comment was incomplete. How funny. Object from opacity. Yeah, I do see a bad case of cut and paste. How interesting. Let's bring this down here. I'm kind of one-handed typing here, so I'm thinking with my other hand. Okay, so what's going on here? Got some more OCD going on. And in object matching, we don't want it to interpolate to a new value. We just want it to take on the new value. So there's the opacity being set. We don't need to interpolate it. We need to restore resources, and we need to mark set opacity set. Dun, 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 dun. That's the one we're looking for. So you can see that's happening in our object interp, which we looked at earlier. That really big, huge routine. Right on. So why would that? In fact, that might just actually do it. We might need to do that manually. Let's compile it up. And it's gonna need to quit that. There we go. Interesting. We had a warning. Okay. Momentary side note is we had a warning. And where was it? Warning not found. We had, so slang is part of one of the things that slang offers as a language is it has built-in debugging and logging of stuffs. Oh, it actually had an error. No, it's just, oh, all it did was, and we're not going to chase this bug. So somewhere along the line, all of what we were doing, which wasn't much, Iron is keeping track. It doesn't do garbage collection, but it will, in a debug configuration, keep track of allocations and frees. And they did not add up, so it issued a warning, which gets translated, or it's I consider it an error. If you can't reclaim all of your memory specifically, then something is wrong. The logic is wrong, and that's certainly bad. So, and then there's other facilities within Slang that'll help lead me to find memory that gets dangled, memory leaks and stuff like that. But we're not gonna deal with that now. But I was just curious. And you can see this is a gargantuan file, 1.2 million lines. That's debug output. So hey, and Iron handled it. Nice big huge file. Loads it up in a hurry. Here, let's load it again. Bing. There we are, 1.2 million line, 27. Wow. All right. So let's close that. Yeah. So if you're using Atom and you need to use big files, is 1.2 million lines enough for you? I'm kind of proud of that. Let's see. Don't need this file anymore. Don't need this one. Don't need our results here. Okay, so we compiled up, and I think we think that this call here sets the opacity. Let's just give it a run. All right, let's see what happens.
All systems are functional. There is a small
Going to
pressure leak
remove
in
our
the air
item.
conditioning unit.
Dang, that was not it. Three seconds is too funny. Hey, it gives us slow humans a chance to figure out what's going on. I don't even think it was done. I still think I caught it in the middle somewhere. Yep. Come on, you can do it. There it is. Oh man, if debugging can't make you laugh, what will, right? It's still not doing the right thing. Ah. Okay, so I am thinking, yeah. So we definitely have some kind of a memory bug because I can show you the dialog. 305 unrecovered memory blocks. So there's something going on in our logic is not correct. So object matching. And I was going to add that here. Object 2. Oh, wait, let's do a multi-select. This will be fun. No, yes, yes, yes. Object 2. Tell you, once you have multi-select, you just can't stop playing with it. And it's pretty damn useful. So let's compile that up. All right. And see what we've got going. I have a feeling this is not going to solve it either.
computer has ever made a mistake or distorted
Taking it
information.
away. Wait, that almost worked. Okay, we actually got to change on screen. That's always a good thing when you're debugging. Now the transition is like kind of too slow. So let's get this back to 1. And take it away. What happens? Why is the positions are still not correct? Okay, it's progress. No, it was still transitioning. I got it in the middle. Go back home. Everybody back where they belong. Position 1, please. Okay. Let's try it again here. Let's make this really long here. Take it away. Where are things being positioned? It's just doing a jump. They all went down and then came back. 5 seconds of sheer terror. Let's see it again. Everybody's scooting down like they're in molasses. Oh, this is painful. All right, we'll assume that's done. Gonna take this item away. Let's see what happens with this section. It seems like it's not doing the right thing, which is a clue. It's always a clue. The section is in the right place. The menu items are not. Okay. Well, tell you what, I'm going to end this stream. That we actually can observe a difference on screen is a bonus. Let's just set this one back to its nice quick transition. And did it find, yeah, same bug, 300, now that's 304. Interesting. All right. We'll be chasing that down, but I'm going to end this stream. We've got something on screen. Pretty happy about that.
You must leave within 2 days.
After an awful long period of time. There we go. That's more normal. Let's make all these go away. So the sections are in the right place. Bing. Oh, no, not necessarily. Why are they not in the right place? And then they move into the right place. I think what's happening is yeah, I think what's going on here, and I'm not gonna necessarily deal with this during the stream, is okay. This menu is centered just in this big pane. It's just right in the middle here. And so the center of this menu, the first joint, is put, right here in the middle of the screen. And so the center of the old menu and the new menu, of course, not in the right place because they're different sizes. And when I'm telling the new menu items to assume the location of the old menu items, they're all tied to the center of their respective menus. So they're in different reference frames. And I'm not taking that into account. Interesting. So, okay. Let me make a note here. Okay. Not taking menu joint center into account when setting up new menu section items. And then the other thing was oh yeah, and it was probably don't need to interpolate to from the same place. And what routine was that? Oh wait, it's over here. Yeah, an object intro is what it was. Yeah, same place in object intro. All right, so there's my notes for now. We'll leave it at that. Okay, folks, I think it's time to wrap it up. Do you want to save the menu? Yes, we do. And yeah, still coming up. And oh, and well, let's change that. Okay, missing memory. 304 memory blocks. And I'll be able to find that. Okay, save that. So it is time to start up the Xmas toggle equals true. What does everybody want for Christmas or their birthday? Presents. So thank you for joining me. We'll come back some more. Remember, our beta is coming up next month. And if I can't debug any faster than this, okay, it might be the following month. Now we're really shooting for June and hoping that you'll join us. www.darkviking.com. But let me sign off now. Thank you again for joining us. I'm John, Dark Viking with darkvikingsoftware.com, and you've been watching me trying to finagle one tiny little bug. I'm sorry, it's a puzzle I created on some other day. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.